wash away my sin.
Nothing but the blood of the Lamb.
If you've been anywhere around the Christian metal movement for the past, say, 30, 40 years, then you've seen the Bible reference for Isaiah 53:5. I remember being a kid, seeing the Striper logo. They made it real popular, and there it is right there. And I remember going to my Bible, you know, and grabbing it and pulling up the reference for Isaiah 53:5, trying to figure out what it said, what it meant, and thinking it was so cool. There's a band named Striper, but they also had a Bible verse that said, "By his stripes we're healed." So that's pretty great, right? Yeah. But what does it really mean? That's what we're talking about today on 45 RPM. Hi, I'm Scott, and this is 45 RPM. Thank you for joining me and for spending some time with me today. Isaiah 53:5. We've heard it forever, at least I have. Maybe you've never heard it, but we're going to break it apart and see what it really means. The Bible is full of references to sacrifice. In fact, in Hebrews chapter 10, it's really a blood chapter. It's all about blood and blood sacrifice and what sacrifice means and the difference in the sacrifice of the Old Testament versus the sacrifice of Jesus in the New Testament and all of that. But, you know, blood, let's look at blood for a second. First of all, blood is very individual. We know that Jesus was born of a virgin. There was no DNA in him from an earthly father. However, the blood of Jesus is very special as well. The mother's blood and the baby's blood never combine. If they did, it could be deadly for both the baby and the mother. The nutrients and the oxygen from the mother's blood is crossed over by diffusion to the baby's blood that is uniquely individual. The mother can have one blood type and the baby can have another. The blood of Jesus is distinctly special. It's distinctly special. It's sinless. It's saving. It was shed for us. But it also speaks to us. The blood of Jesus speaks. And we're going to look at that and kind of try to wrap our minds around that a little bit today. How does the blood of Jesus speak to us? And what does that have to do with Isaiah 53:5? Hebrews chapter 12, verse 24. And to Jesus, the mediator of a new covenant, and to the sprinkled blood that speaks a better word than the blood of Abel. Jesus' blood speaks a better word than the word of Abel. We're going to look at that. Abel's blood was spilled out of murder. His blood spilled out on the ground, and his blood speaks of punishment. His blood speaks of retribution. His blood speaks of judgment and justice. Jesus' blood was not murder blood. Jesus shed his blood. He gave his blood for us. And instead of punishment, it speaks for pardon. Instead of retribution, it speaks for restoration. And instead of justice and judgment, it speaks for justification. It's a different blood that brings healing. By his stripes, we are healed. Is that what that verse means? Let's look at that for a minute. Jesus was a healer. Can you imagine, here comes Jesus, if he went about business the way that modern day healers do? And, you know, Peter, why don't you go ahead and you rent out the Superdome, okay? You go get the Superdome rented out and for 7 nights. We'll get Matthew, you go ahead, Matthew, and make us some posters and some flyers and some handouts that say 7 big nights of healing, you know, and try to get the hype going about that, you know. How about Andrew, why don't you go and make sure that our stage effects are in place? We'll put some crutches around, you know, we'll put some wheelchairs over here, and we'll put a walker over here. And I tell you what, Nathaniel, you run the healing line. Whenever people line up to be healed, you be sure to catch them, because when I hit them, they're going to fall back, right? So you be sure to catch those people. Thomas, do you think this is all going to be okay? And Thomas is like, well, I doubt it. Judas, I tell you what, Judas, you take care of the offering, because it's going to be a big cash flow this weekend. I can go ahead and tell you. If Jesus went about doing healing the way modern day healers do, we'd have a mess, right? But Jesus didn't do that. Dr. Luke in chapter 6, verses 16 through 19 talks about how Jesus brought a whole multitude together and he healed them all. Jesus went to the pool of Bethesda and he found the worst case scenario sitting there that had been there for years and years and years, 3 decades and almost 4. And he took that man and he healed him. Jesus healed the blind, the deaf, the lame, the dumb, the palsied, the leper. In fact, he healed an entire leper colony at one time. The demon possessed. He healed the dead. You know that every time Jesus went to a funeral, he broke the whole thing up by just raising the dead person right up. Jesus's life was like that. He changed everyone that he came in contact with. His life brought physical healing of the body, but his death was different. His death brought healing of the soul. Folks, when Jesus died on the cross, he gave his life and shed his blood for us willingly. The stripes are where the whip crossed his back, and most of us know that. The blood shed down his back for us. The crown of thorns and the blood shed down his face for us. That blood still cries out today. And that blood that he willingly shed for us is why we don't have to go to hell. It's why we don't have to live in defeat. It's why we don't have to live our life as if we have no hope. That blood that he shed for us is an eternal blood, a special blood. By his stripes, we are healed forever. And that is not to be taken lightly. Whenever Isaiah was prophesying, by his stripes, we are healed, he was not talking about blindness. He was not talking about physical pain, mental, emotional pain. He was talking about an eternal healing that would last forever. He was talking about what Paul was talking about in 1 Corinthians 15, verses 51 and 52, when he says we will all be changed. In the twinkling of an eye, we will be changed. We will be different. And we will receive a resurrected, glorified body, a real body. Isaiah 53:5 was talking about what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 15, verses 55, whenever he said, "Death, where is your sting? Death, where is your victory? You have no control over me anymore because this body has been healed differently. This body has been covered by the special, precious blood of Jesus. And it's different now. It's been changed in the twinkling of an eye. And it cannot be no longer touched by destruction, by disease, by death, by decay. It can't be changed by those things anymore because it's already been changed by the special, immaculate blood of Jesus Christ. Oh, precious is the flow that makes me white as snow. No other fount I know, nothing but the blood of Jesus. Isaiah 53:5 is not talking about healing of our bodies. Although Jesus heals our bodies a lot of times. And I have seen real healing. I've experienced real healing. Isaiah 53:5, by his stripes we are healed, is talking about that beautiful day when we are ultimately healed and we become a resurrected, glorified body that is immune to the sin and suffering of this world. And I can't wait for that day to happen. That blood, that precious blood of Jesus, gives us heaven.